They're 5-2, and you look at their bye, they're going to be 6-5 headed into the bye and have to scrape their way into the postseason.
Interesting.
They have scored 13 points total in quarters 1 through 3 of their last 3 games, all wins. 3 points, quarters 1 through 3 against Philly, 10 against the Jets, 0 yesterday against the Giants. I will give Bo Nix credit for being a gamer at the end of these games, and he is playing great at the end of these games. But I have watched the Broncos incredibly closely because I try to watch everything closely, but I watch my bets a little closer. And nothing fills me with more confidence than when I see Bo Nix is launching a deep ball on the run, that thing is sailing out of bounds. And I have seen it play in, play out, and then he has flipped the switch in these fourth quarters. And that matters for long term potentially. But I thought the Broncos defense yesterday was disappointing. I thought Sean Payton's game plan yesterday was disappointing. And I think that the last 2 games against the Giants and the Jets were as tough, ugly a wins as you're going to have. And so, no, could I be wrong about them missing the playoffs? Sure. I still think they're going to have to fight to get in, but I do not look at them as a team nearly as good as their record.
I'm with you. I mean, look, they might make the playoffs. I'm not saying they can't make the playoffs, but although that is a tough schedule. But I don't believe, they're not a contender. And it's the offense. And Bo Nix, as you said, he's been great in the fourth quarters. He's got an 87 passer rating. This is for the season. 6.1 yards per attempt and 62% completion. None of those numbers are good. And when you watch them, we know the defense is great. They lead the league in sacks. Their defense overall is good, despite yesterday.
Jackson Dart didn't seem to have an issue.
But overall, they've been a
Yesterday
really
was their
good
first bad defensive game.
They've been a very good defensive team overall. But offensively, I think that's their problem. If the Jets had a pulse offensively, they would have beat them. Yep. And obviously, if the Giants don't collapse, they'd have beat them. So might make the playoffs, but not a contender.
So we do this all the time. If this team would have done this, they could have won. Yeah. This team is legit. This team is legit, and I'll tell you why. They're legit because there are not many teams that could be in these situations that they have been in and find themselves on the winning side of them.
That's fair.
Because of how sound they are defensively. Now, did they give up a lot yesterday against the Giants? Absolutely. But sometimes you let your guard down. What they can't have is those numbers from their quarterback. And if you look at yesterday's game, before we even get to the game, before we even get to this, well, we can go to the stats. This is, you got to find a way, if you're Sean Payton, to get that fourth quarter version of Bo Nix for the entirety of the game, because that would only then make them even more legitimate.
Then they would be an excellent team.
Yeah, if they had hit fourth quarter Knicks throughout the game.
And the reason why I say that they're legit is because you can the 3 quarters of the way he's performing, it not only wears on fans and viewers, it wears on the team.
Yeah.
Defensively, they're like, man, come on, can we get something? They're on the field. They're getting these stops. They pitched basically a shutout in the second half. Well, not a shutout, but they did their job well enough to where, okay, we're going to give you another chance, offense. We're going to give you another chance, and we keep doing this. And even as at receivers, you talk about him throwing those balls out of bounds, but then something clicks. And it's like, who are you?
Yeah.
And
what does that say? Does that say anything to you that, do they take some of the guardrails off in the fourth quarter, or
it almost makes me feel like they need to, and I know we got to go with no huddle. It almost makes me feel like they need to just literally no huddle it. Put pressure.
Yeah, play the 2-minute offense.
Absolutely.
Early.
Put the pressure on him, because he seems to get the best version out of Bo when the pressure is at his highest.
He's not worried about his highest.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. A lot of people came to me and said, you got to do this clip because Nick said what he said, how they're going to just collapse. And what is it? So, okay, he's saying that they're going to be 6-5. Yeah. So They have the Cowboys, the Texans, the Raiders, and the Chiefs. Now, I know Nick believes obviously the Chiefs are going to win. That's fine. Whatever, I don't care. And I'm not going to talk about the Week 11 game right now. Okay? Dallas Cowboys have a great offense right now. High and fly, and their offense is full strength. Their defense, not so much. It's going to be a fascinating game to see. But the Raiders, who've just given arguably one of the worst performances I've ever seen in my entire existence of watching football, and the Texans, who full disclosure, I'm recording this video before they play on Monday night. I'm actually when I'm recording this, the game is going to go on in about an hour. So for all I know, whoa Texans. Whoa, they just put the league on notice. Maybe that happened. And then I'll quickly go back and say, let me delete this. Let me cut this part of this out. But, I think if you're the Broncos, you shouldn't be too concerned. The Broncos obviously need to play better, but this is where we just keep taking things to such extremes. Like, this is what's so frustrating to me, because the Broncos need to play better. I can't emphasize that enough and be very clear about that. Even an amazing game, which I talked about in the post game, it was like there's a lot to love about the game, and there was also there are things that the Broncos absolutely positively have to figure out. And so I'm not trying to downplay that or overlook that just for the sake of being pro Broncos. It's not how I operate. But to then take it to the extreme that now in their next 4 games will essentially be lucky just to win one. Now let's say they're even 6-5. Let's just say they're 6-5. That they now have no chance, because you'd make the argument they'd have to win just another 3 or 4 games out of their next, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, out of their next 6 games, especially post-bye. I don't understand why that would be so impossible. Playing the Raiders again. Okay. The Jags. The Jags are this great, amazing team. Not so much. The Chargers can't stay healthy by week 18. I don't even know how they might be calling me up and saying, "Hey man, can you get back out to the West Coast? We need someone. We need anyone. Can you be on the O-line? I know you're a little bit smaller. I know you're a quarterback, but we just need someone to block. Can you try? Actually, Justin Herbert's down. You got it. You're in. You're in, bro. Get in there." And I'm like, "Thanks. Finally, I got my shot. I am a lefty, So it's going to take some adjustments for y'all, but let's go. Maybe your receivers will actually catch the ball." So I don't know. And according to Nick, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to have this all scooped up by week 17. So no problem. You're arresting all the starters, and they're not going to Mahomes and Andy Reid. They don't want to give any of their tricks out, So even in a doomsday scenario where the Broncos just lose, and now it's like, oh man, this final stretch of games, they really got to bring it. Why can't they? I don't understand. Why can't they? The Green Bay Packers lost to the Cleveland Browns, struggled with the Arizona Cardinals. The Raiders are an awful team. The Jags, they are not good. They're not good. They are not a good team. They are not a good team. Hey, guess what? They're not a good team. The Commanders, I don't know who they're going to be by week 13 because they've been so banged up. And the Chargers so banged up. And then again, we'll just leave the Chiefs in their own little isolation because they're the Chiefs. They're the Chiefs. We don't have to take things to the extreme. We really don't. We really, really, really don't. I mean, they beat the Eagles. The Colts game actually now has aged unbelievably because that Colts team has been on fire. They've been historically great. Historically great. They're doing things that the 2018 Chiefs haven't done and what the undefeated Patriots haven't done. The Colts have been unbelievable. And the Broncos were the better team. They played better. They beat themselves. They had that game, won, and they lost. And again, that's football. There's plenty of times that the better team ends up losing or the better team doesn't play as good as the other team. So it's just football. We don't have to get too lost in that. But my point is that the Broncos were right there, obviously. And so to think that they can't be right there against the Chiefs, against the Cowboys, the Texans, the Raiders, the Commanders, the Packers, the Jets. Like it doesn't logically make any sense. Now, I get it. They struggle with the Jets and they struggle with the Giants. I get it. I do. And you know, I'm watching that game right up until the end of the game, obviously. I'm like, you know, why are you struggling? But we actually see the potential. There's other teams that are struggling that you're like, I don't really see the potential. And when you come away with a win, you're like, gosh, like that's how I feel about the Panthers. That's how you feel about the Cleveland Browns, the Miami Dolphins, right? The Miami Dolphins kind of hung with the Buffalo Bills, and you're kind of like, they could have won, but you're like, I don't really see the potential. Yeah, they hung around, but like, where's the real ump? What can they actually do? You know, do you really trust their ability to like actually pull something off here? Can they actually go on a run? You don't feel that way. You absolutely undeniably should feel that way about the Broncos, because there's something there. They haven't harnessed it yet. They haven't maximized yet. They haven't heightened it yet. They haven't enhanced yet. They haven't put it all together yet. But I do imagine once you come to the bye, they'll be even better. Because again, for those of you who don't know, once you reach the bye, you're able to really audit yourself. You're able, for the first time all season, you're able to really look at everything you've done. Most of the time throughout the regular season, you're constantly looking at the next team. Like the Broncos, you know, they got to now look at like the Cowboys, right? They're on to the Cowboys, and it's just always on to, you know, as Bill Belch, on to the Jets, on to the P, you know, to whatever. It's always on to that next week. But once you're doing it in your bye, you can then really audit yourself and now really look at what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, what really fundamentally needs to change. And the Broncos have a great bye week 12. Like that's a nice bye location. You get a big stretch of games. And then in the last, you know, Hera, you've got to do yourself a rest up, hopefully heal up, and you got to stretch in games, and it's not too long of a stretch. And then that ideally brings you into the playoffs. And, you know, before you know it, you're, Bo Nix is raising the Lombardi trophy. But, yeah, it's just, I don't know. I wish we didn't have to constantly take things to such an extreme where it's either the Broncos are awful and trash and this and that, and just saying like, you know, they're winning these games, but like now they're going to plummet to 6-5, and then they're going to struggle just to win another 3 or 4 games. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Denver Broncos? Nick did admit that Bo Nix has been excellent in those fourth quarters. That's something. It's something. But let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, it's getting some discussions. It's getting some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.